I am coming to you today because I think it's going to be interesting to point out to you how the government has put things in place in the UK so that it would be quite impossible to get any finance if you're not following everything that they say with the lifestyle we have right now. So people talk about the mark of the beast and everything, the system being in place in the future, but there are a lot of regulations down right now that are stopping you as an individual of getting credit or finance or a bank account if you don't have certain things in place. For example, uh, the your address has to be registered with your bank. Okay, that's a good example. Okay, and in doing so, you have to have an address. I'll come back to that in a minute. You have to be registered with your local parish or your council on the what's it called, voting system, the electoral roll. If you are not registered on the electoral roll, it's a lot harder for you to get credit because under the credit expert rules, which you look at if you go to Experian or any of these credit companies, they ask that you are registered on the electoral roll under your address. Okay? Right. So I pose this to you. Let's say you didn't want to be registered and you want to be off grid. Okay, so you get yourself a piece of land, you buy yourself a wooden house, because a wooden house with one story is legally allowed to be built in this country without planning permission. So you wouldn't have to register it, you just got to build this little wooden house on a one story. Okay, so you build your wooden house, you've got your solar power, so you don't need to be registered to the lines, and you've got your water, because you've got your water collection from the rain, which is on your tower or whatever, and you set yourself up and everything is good. But you can't buy anything because you don't have any way of getting money. Why? Because to start a bank account or even to have a bank account even today, you have to have an address. So the only way you could do that is to have a PO box. Therefore, you're paying money into the post office or mailboxes, etc., or one of these companies to actually get a PO box account so you could have your post go there, because you can't have your post go nowhere. You're not legally allowed to have no residential address. If you did and you needed something in the future, they would ask where you've lived, and you have no residential address, so you'd have nowhere for the post to go. It's vital. Okay, so you have that. You set yourself up with your post box, but then the only way you can pay for it is to have a bank account, so you have to have that go to the PO box. But then the only way you can earn money to get a job is to have an address which you give them, which which is part of the residential side of it. You can't give them a PO box if you want to go for a good paid job. It would have to. You could probably give them a PO box if you want to go for a really low paid like cleaning job or something. But if you want a real job, you couldn't do that. But let's say you wanted to run your own business from home. You couldn't register your company unless you register it in the PO box. And in that way, you could at the moment bypass the system just a little bit, because you'd have a PO box for your business, you'd put your post there, you put your bank account there, and if anyone needs to send you post, you send them to the PO box. So in that way, a business could run, but you'd have to be earning money continuously through your business to make that run. Okay, so you have to come up with something that is not government based, that you don't have to register. Okay, but remember that as a registration of a company, they'll register to your PO box, and your PO box cannot be set up without a home address linked to it. So if you were ever to disappear, they would know how to send your post to an actual address. So therefore, in that way, you couldn't even set up a PO box. So we're stuck. What do? We can't do anything. We are stuck in the system that we have been presented with. I even speak to these people who have these hobbit homes, and how do you make money? How do you do this? I've spoken to them, and they always have another address, like a parent's address or a family's address, where they can go to if necessary, but they choose to live in the hobbit home. Now, I suppose we all have families, so we could register with that if they were prepared to let that happen. But when the beast system comes in place, they say that families will out families. So bear this in mind. This is quite a serious thing for you to think about. People have to think about their future. At the moment, things are quite cushy. You might even not have a job. You might be struggling financially, but you're still quite cushy. You've got a home to live in. And even if you're on the street, it's still slightly cushy because you do get money coming through. When they ban cash, you're going to have to live on the card. And if you're on the street, you're stuffed because you're not going to be the only way you're going to get out is to have the microchips so you can get money so you can get out. People will get off the street that way. And people that refuse, they'll be stuck.